WCLN 1170 Radio and Cable Channel 16 are pleased to present We Should Know, hosted by J.W. Simmons, an upbeat, informative look at people, places, and issues facing our community. This education-based analysis of issues will remain positive and informative as we consider closely what we should know.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We Should Know is on there. I want to thank you for being with us today. WCLN Radio, Star Communications, also Summation, the Sampson Weekly newspaper. We want to remind you to contact us and continue to send us those emails to weshouldknowedu@gmail.com. weshouldknowedu@gmail.com. If you want to send us a snail mail, letter, postcard, Post Office Box 1482, Clinton, North Carolina 28328. Our guest today is someone that is it's just a name everybody knows, Mary Rose. Mary Rose, you've been around a long time and doing a lot of things for the area, particularly for Clinton. Most recently, you have been recognized and were elected as president of the North Carolina Downtown Development Association, which is a pretty huge step from just working on things in downtown Clinton. Thank you for being with us, and I'd like to talk about that a bit and talk about I think the big thing is, like you and I were talking about off air, is to get folks to understand how much it takes not only of your time, but everyone's time that's engaged down here to make things happen. Let's talk about that a bit, because there seems like a science behind what you do.
Yes. First of all, the North Carolina Downtown Development Association is an advocacy organization made up of a volunteer board of directors. So volunteers just like me. I've served on the board for over 12 years. And I've gotten to meet so many interesting people. And we have advocated for topics such as the historic tax credits, and we've been to Raleigh and we've made friends and we've educated and we've been educated. And there is a science behind downtown development and revitalizing your downtown. I often talk about the National Main Street 4-point approach, and JW, you've heard me talk about it before. So there's 4 points: organization, promotion, design, and economic vitality. So you want to be organized, you want to promote yourself, you want to look good, and then you want to provide incentives and talk about how you can make your downtown stronger and your businesses in your downtown stronger. So there is an approach to it, and it's a science, you know, and if you follow those 4 points, then you can make any downtown move forward incrementally over a period of time.
Oftentimes folks will say, well, it's happening in Clinton, but how does that impact and why is it important for the larger area? Not just Clinton, but for Sampson, for Pender, for Bladen, for surrounding counties. It's not just one spot, is it?
Right.
Not?
History shows us that your downtowns are the hearts of your community. They're your center of commerce, culture, and government most times. So Clinton is the county seat. We have a vibrant downtown. I was working on our Christmas ornament project the other day, and this year it spotlights our railroad depot in downtown Clinton. And it was talking about when the depot was built and when the rail line came to Clinton, and how there was a celebration with over 5,000 people in downtown Clinton. And, you know, this was back you know, in the early part of the century. And then there was a fire and it burned, and then they had a grand ball to celebrate, you know, the rebuilding of the depot. So in history, your downtowns are important because it's where your farmers in the center of large agricultural counties like Sampson came to sell their goods, but also to purchase goods to take back home. So downtowns are really important. Another fact that I love sharing with people is per square foot, your downtowns typically provide more tax base per square foot than any other piece of property in the county, which tax base is good. That affords us the opportunity to provide our citizens with good water, with good services, and we need that tax base to be strong. And so you want your core to be strong, and you want to continue to work to make it strong. And as you know, downtowns deteriorated back in the 70s and 80s, and we've had to work really hard to bring them back. And I think you've seen that all across North Carolina, whether it's in a town like Kinston or it's in downtown Raleigh. with Moore Square project and the things that are going on there. There's just a lot of people working to effectuate positive improvements in our downtowns.
When you look at a lot of the other areas in the state, and now being in the position you are as president of the Association of Downtown Development, do you see, I guess, the ingredients in other places that you see here? And I'm thinking particularly of our History Museum here, which is within easy proximity of downtown.
Yes.
The very word definition of what downtown is includes a kind of a surrounding area of the downtown. So is all these things a plus, or does a lot of other places have totally different kind of concepts?
No, we're all working in the same direction. I'll mention Kinston probably several times during our conversation because they have history on their side as well. They have the museum downtown. They have an arts council building downtown. They certainly have benefited from Vivian Howard and her husband Ben Knight, as well as Mother Earth Brewery. Seems like of late every downtown wants a brewery. That's the hot thing right now. And,
is that something coming for us?
We hope. I'm not aware of anything right this moment, but we're always...
There was some discussion.
There was some discussion at one time, and I think we would really love to have a brewery in downtown Clinton. Nearby Benson and Mount Olive are two of the closer, smaller communities that now have breweries, and so we would like that. But yes, you're going to see there are over 68 Main Street communities in the state of North Carolina. Clinton was one of, I think, the first 12 back in the early 80s, and they're all following this approach, the same approach, and they're all trying to create opportunities for public art, for history, for activities in the downtown, special events, and we'll talk about those a little later. But we're all following a similar model, and we have to work with the property owners. We have to work with the elected officials, both at the local, the county, and the state level, to effectuate positive change in our communities. And that's just really exciting to me, working with all those people and knowing that I have people in my same role all across the state, whether it's in Charlotte, Raleigh, Greensboro, Kinston, even Tabor City, North Carolina, even the smaller communities. There are people just like me working to effectuate positive change in their downtowns.
You mentioned the past and history. Some time ago, I had the good fortune of having Tommy Vann, whose name is well known here,
Yes.
and with the formerly with the Ford dealership, and you know, just a stellar kind of guy. He talked a lot about that period of time in the 60s and the 50s, in the late 50s and early 60s, and that kind of thing. Talk to us a little bit about history and some of the significant pieces of things that has kind of maybe we're reinventing to some degree history. We're kind of rebranding some things that did happen, but now it's in a new time zone, but yet it's still important. Talk to us, how does that work?
Well, one thing we're realizing is you have to be who you are. And over time, you don't want to venture too far from what you originally were. And in Sampson County, agriculture is what we've always been. And you know, we're the largest agricultural product producing county in the state of North Carolina. And so we have built our brand for downtown Clinton around agriculture. You know, mill around downtown Clinton, the milling around art piece with the representations of the millstones. And you know, that's what you want to do, is you want to subtly educate and communicate your history as you move forward into the future. And there will be subtle changes. We recently completed an alleyway project just off Lisbon Street in downtown called Dash Way, due to the fact the Downtown Dash Committee donated the money. And the art that we chose to place in the alleyway represents buildings of history in our downtown, whether they're still standing or not. Two of the buildings are no longer standing, the Rufus King Hotel and the Old Clinton Theater, which I'm sure you remember both, and I don't remember either one of them, but we want to educate our community about our history, and that's part of it.
And I think what you just said is very true. You know, folks in my age genre, and even earlier than me, as Tommy Vann and others, not only have those memories, but it's the kind of thing that we, or when we're doing this show, oftentimes I like to get folks in like that to talk about that so we can look at our comparative rich history of the kinds of things, and not just simply looking back at some of the struggles, but the kind of things that folks were able to accomplish during that period of time, because it involved people. With that said, do you feel like you're getting the kind of involvement and collective push that you need?
You know, I held a meeting, we had a meeting this morning, and one of my biggest fears is people, groups, organizations becoming stagnant. And I would not say that Clinton is in any way, shape, or form stagnant. We are constantly moving forward, but it is a constant effort to keep us moving forward and to work with all the committees and the groups and the partnering organizations. You speak to a lot of people on this show and you hear about a lot of things going on, and we just all need to be moving forward in the same direction, and we just need to not be fearful of standing still, but we need to be aware that sometimes it's easy to stand still, and we don't want to be that way. We want to continue to move forward. And
I think you're exactly right. One of the things that strikes me as you're talking, I was down in the Bladen County area, in the Elizabethtown area, some time ago, looking at some potential locations for some shows from that area. But the interesting thing is everybody is looking for a way to simply say, in very simple terms, we're still here.
Yes.
We've got presence, and we've got something that we want to offer, and that there's I guess I would call it those unique kind of nuggets that you find in each one of these places. You mentioned some of the breweries and these kinds of things, but when we come back, I want to talk about at least one of those that exists right downtown in Clinton. It's developing. If folks want to see it materializing in front of them, they can go downtown and see it, but we're going to talk about that when we come back right after this break. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. We'll be back in a moment. We're going to talk about some things that's going to be going on, upcoming things, something that is materializing now, right in downtown, that you might want to take a drive-by and take a look at, because it's short term before it's going to be opening the doors, and a lot of folks are very excited about that, and certainly we are as well. Caller friends, stay tuned. We'll be back in a moment. We Should Know is on the air.
Experiencing slow internet? If you have a fast internet package, the problem is most likely your wireless router. With more devices using Wi-Fi, your wireless router may not be able to deliver the speed and coverage you need. We now have the leading solution to enhance your internet experience. Using small devices in a mesh network, these Wi-Fi appliances cover just about any size home, so that all your devices can operate to their fullest potential. Whole home Wi-Fi from Star Communications. Get the most out of your internet connection.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Thank you for being with us. Again, We Should Know is on there. We're coming to you from Star Communications, Channel 16, WCLN Radio, also a summation of the Sampson Weekly newspaper. We're talking with one of our favorite guests, Mary Rose. Mary Rose, thank you for being with us today. We're talking about all the kinds of stuff going on in the area. And there's a good time. It's always, I think, in Sampson County, folks enjoy sitting on the porch rocking, and there's a perfect time, perfect season of the year to do that. But there's also a time to get out and about. And out and about in the fall of the year is big business downtown. And I want to kind of open, as we went to close a while ago, the first segment, I want to kind of come back with this one and talk about some of those nuggets that I referred to. It's interesting because I didn't mention that to you, and you knew exactly what I was talking about when we went off air.
That's right.
But a couple of folks we've had on this show before, Dr. Paul Weiser and Johnny Pridgeon, doing some great things, a lot of history involved in what they're doing, but it's now something called Sampson Partners.
Yes.
And that's going on just down from the Milling Around Artwork in
on
Clinton.
Main Street. Yes.
Sampson Community College has tossed some ideas in the air. Of course, I remember and was involved when Sampson Community College was downtown, and it's exciting to think about that.
Then being back downtown.
Yeah, tell us what's going on with that from the perspective of somebody that's developing downtown.
So I was fortunate enough to be invited to a Sampson Partners board meeting earlier this week, and I attended. And I complimented Dr. Paul Weiser and Johnny Pridgeon for both doing such a phenomenal job of educating the community about what Sampson Partners is. And that has truly helped them with their fundraising for this project that we're talking about. They are taking a building downtown and they will be expanding the Shop on Main, which is formerly known as the Crisis Center. They're giving it a whole new look, they're giving it a whole new name, and they're going to be expanding, and they're going to have some furniture for sale at the Shop on Main. And then, yes, Sampson Community College is going to have a presence in downtown Clinton, which we are thrilled about. As I understand from Amanda Bradshaw, who spoke during the board meeting this week, they're going to bring some of their continuing education classes downtown, some small business center classes, some classes like flower arranging and maybe cake baking and things that people like you and I in our spare time would like to learn more about. And it's just really exciting. And to be able to have Bart Rice and the Sampson Community College Small Business Center downtown, to where our businesses, not only in downtown Clinton, but around the county, can really come and have easy access to parking, have a great facility in which they can learn how to better their business and how to grow their business. It's just going to be really exciting to have them downtown.
There's a special interest, I think, with folks to have a sense of proximity to where they are. And as I think about that, and something you alluded to a while ago, I want to kind of go around the corner and go up the street there on Vance Street. And there's used to be a building there. The most recent or past recent history was a plumbing operation.
Yes.
And now there's this thing that's involved with vegetables. And talk to us about what's going on there, because a lot of folks have said to me as they go by there, what's really going on? I said, why don't you just stop and go in and check it out? How is that going? They've been open now for a few months. Give us a little bit of history and also what's happening there.
Sure. April Tanner and her family from Garland, they're in the farming, business, and they have opened Berries and More in downtown Clinton. And when I say berries, that is what they grow, as I understand, is berries, blackberries, blueberries. But they have also provided an opportunity for other farmers to have products in their business. Right now they have pumpkins and mums heading into the fall. So it's just another resource and another place that people in Clinton and Sampson County can go for fresh vegetables and produce. I went by there a couple of months ago and I bought 2 pounds of figs. And you can't buy figs in the grocery store. And I grew up pulling figs off my grandmother's fig bush. And so I was just amazed that I could just walk in and buy figs, and I'm enjoying them. And it's a really great business. And we have a lot of great businesses downtown. We pride ourselves on the fact that downtown Clinton is a destination, a shopping destination. You could drive in from Fayetteville, Raleigh, Goldsboro, Wilmington. A lot of people meet here. They meet friends because we're such a good central location to all those areas. To have lunch at Alfredo's, to shop, to have coffee at Simply NC, go into Bernie's. We just have a lot of great gift and decor shops. And that's what they teach us, is you do want to create a destination. So people are not just coming for one shop or one item. They are coming, and kind of like when you go to the mall, JW, you can go to the mall and you get a lot of different options. Well, you can come to downtown Clinton with our great parking and beautiful artwork and our rich history, and you can have an experience.
Yeah, and anything NC is right downtown as well.
Exactly.
And that little shop is just doing
Simply
a great
NC.
business down there.
It does. And we are just excited that all our business owners are becoming more active and engaged in this 4-point Main Street approach. They are realizing that if they'll invest a little bit of time on a committee or at a public input meeting, we have a downtown business and property owner meeting coming up on October 1st, which will be upstairs at Alfredo's. We do these twice a year, and it's a great opportunity for the business and the property owners to come and learn about what the committees are working on and what we've got going on. And it's also a great opportunity for them to connect with our city staff. The city manager, the public works director, the police chief are typically there. And so if they have concerns or things that need to be addressed, it's a great way for all of us to connect. And then our goal is to write down everything that's discussed, and before the next meeting, address as many of those things as we can, to keep the business owners happy and feeling good about where they are.
So it's like that idea is not going to go to waste. You're going to investigate it, look at it, look at some possibilities for
Exactly.
it, and bring that information back.
Exactly.
Oftentimes folks will say, well, I mentioned so-and-so, I never heard anything from it. Not so much here.
Not so much here. That's one of the things I really strive for is I want to make sure that we are trying as best we can to address the concerns of our citizens and that we're moving in the right direction. So that I take it as a personal challenge to, if we have a list, that I'm checking it off before that next meeting so I can get a good grade at the next meeting. Interestingly enough, during our last Downtown Business and Property Owner meeting held back in May, there were no concerns shared. Everybody was very happy.
Is that a little scary?
That is the first time ever, JW, that has ever happened, and it was a little scary.
Yeah.
So there were about 33 people in attendance.
Yeah.
So it wasn't that there were just 2 or 3 happy people.
Right.
There were 33 happy people feeling good about the direction that Clinton and downtown is heading. So, we get a little nervous.
The science is working.
It's working. The science is working.
So with that said, it just crossed my mind, you've got one business, very classy location, Rebecca's, that's moving not away from town, but just down the street, so to speak.
Yeah.
Is that something that you can market as a plus because you have this completely new business in a huge, large location that will have multiple capabilities? I'm not sure what all Rebecca's got in mind, but I think you know Rebecca as I do. It's going to be exciting, going to be very high quality, and folks got a lot to look forward to. Talk about that location and how it's strategically still connected to downtown.
Well, we, as I mentioned earlier, we work on Small Business Saturday each year with the Community College, with the Chamber of Commerce, and as you know, all of those organizations are tasked with working with everyone in Sampson County, not just people in downtown Clinton. And so I take pride in partnering with them to the benefit of downtown and to the benefit of the greater Clinton and the greater Sampson County, Roseboro, Newton Grove. So even though Rebecca's is moving out of downtown, they are still going to be in Clinton, just as Matthews Cards and Gifts is in Clinton, and High Cotton and Elizabeth's Gifts, and Big Blue, they partnered with us on Small Business Saturday. So once again, just we loved having Rebecca's and a boutique outlet downtown. We wish them much success in their new location. And we're anxious to fill the empty spaces that they've afforded other potential businesses to locate in downtown. The more opportunities you have, the more businesses you have, the better people like it. They don't typically just go to one. They want to be able to go to multiple locations and get the products and the services. One thing I tell business owners all the time, don't worry too much about what everybody else is doing. Be the best that you can be at what you do, and success will follow you. But if you're too concerned with everybody else, you can't focus on what you need to be doing. And so that's kind of some good advice.
That little shop where she was at was obviously much smaller than where she is now.
Yes.
I guess that building used to be a fabric shop. The
yes,
place she's
Mill
moving,
Outlet Village.
Mill Outlet down, and it's like at the fork there where it goes to the 4-lane and then to McCoy Street downtown. If folks is wondering what's going on there, that's Rebecca's.
And interestingly enough, we have a lot of development going on between downtown and their new location, along McCoy Street and Sampson Street, in that area of the Sampson, former Sampson High School. Many people may not realize it, but Sampson High School is a Rosenwald school, and that's part of our history, and we're working with the Alumni Association right now to hopefully establish a marker honoring that school. And there's a new laundromat along in there. There's another commercial project coming beside the laundromat. There's good things happening along the corridor between the two, so hopefully it'll be a good bridge. And there's good things happening all around Clinton. Highway 24 is coming to an end on this portion, and it's really looking good. It's just a pleasure to be able to drive across town now and get back and forth so much easier than we have.
And many folks may have noticed in the past few days they've seen some traffic lights not only up but are actually functioning.
Yes.
So hopefully that will cut down on some orange cones in the area.
Exactly.
We're going to take our second break, and we're going to come back and talk about some other things that's happening in the community, and maybe give some folks kind of a heads up, early heads up, of where they can be to actually be involved in some of these events as well. Ladies and gentlemen, please stay tuned. Call a friend. We're talking about activities happening right here in the area, particularly in downtown Clinton. We're talking with Mary Rose, and if anybody knows it, Mary Rose knows it. We'll be back in a moment.
You come out to replace a bad sensor, and that adds a 5-year commitment to my contract, and you don't tell me? Here's your sign.
Switch to the sign that's keeping homes secure and customers happy all over the area. Security from Star Communications. We pride ourselves on fair pricing and quick, friendly service every time.
Somebody trying to break into this place?
Security from Star Communications.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. I want to remind you this is We Should Know. You're listening to it. If you haven't just been turning the radio on, you're driving down the road, you're hearing us. It's called We Should Know. It comes on each and every week at 2:30 on Tuesdays. Every week at 2:30 on Tuesdays. It's simulcast with WCLN Radio. Star Communication, Channel 16 is the home base here. And we've been working literally at the good pleasure, and I always like to give a shout out to Tom Hart and City of Clinton for allowing us to have some space here. We're still recovering as studio stuff from something called Florence that happened a year ago. Believe it or not, flooding still goes on and repairs is often slow and arduous. So with the good fortune of having the City of Clinton to support us with the location to do the video portion, we're coming to you from that auditorium right beside of Tom Hart's office, and we're so pleased to give him and the City of Clinton a shout out. We're talking with Mary Rose, who is as part of the City of Clinton. Mary, you've been the person kind of in charge of a lot of stuff, and things we've been talking about in the first half kind of deal with the development stuff, but your planning position as Director of Planning, you've been doing this for more than a few years, right?
Well, I've worked for the city for about 25 years.
Yeah, I didn't want to get really into how much, but that's it goes by fast, and all of a sudden you look and it's been at least 25 years.
It's really been a dream come true, JW. From being raised in Harrells, and my parents have always been real involved down in that end of the county, and then I graduated and went off to Campbell University, and I came right back to Sampson County. And both Sampson County and the City of Clinton had afforded me, as you know, a lot of opportunities. I've worked with Sampson County Planning. I've worked for the City of Clinton for 25 years, with downtown Clinton. Now I'm fortunate enough to be serving as the president of the North Carolina Downtown Development Association. Who would have ever thought Mary Rose from downtown Clinton would be sitting next to, I've got the Greensboro Downtown Director on one side and Raleigh on another and Charlotte across the table. It's just, I have a passion, and Clinton has provided me a great opportunity to build relationships, meet people, benefit Clinton, but now benefit other communities all across the state.
Well, there's many people, I'm sure, that would agree with me that you'll probably teach those folks a lot.
I hope I can.
So as we look at that and think about the position as Director of the Development and Zoning and those kinds of things, there seems to be a natural segue with that as it relates to what we're talking about today, which is the downtown development issue, because both of them have parallel kinds of thinking, because sometimes folks will say off the cuff, well, if it's zoning, that means they're restricting things, and that means I can't do this or that or the other. But you've always been a little bit different mindset.
Yes, my mindset is I'm not here to tell you no. I'm here to help you do what you would like to do. Use your creative ideas. Develop your property, but within the rules and the regulations that I've been given, whether it was by the city or the county, to administer. And I take it as a personal challenge for people to come in the office, but for them to leave happy and leave feeling they've been assisted, because that's what we as public servants are here to do, is we're here to help make things easier, not to make things more difficult, as sometimes that can be perceived. The rules and regulations can be perceived in that way. So yes, I like to think I've taken a different approach to it, and I've learned a lot over the years. I've shared with some people recently that when I was younger, I had this black and white, look in the book. There it is. But as I've gotten older and hopefully wiser, I've realized that sometimes there are some gray areas and sometimes there are some different avenues, but all through the proper channels and the proper process. You can change if you just go through, the proper channels. So.
And for those folks listening, sometimes it's a matter of figuring out a way to make it happen. But there's still always that danger of somebody making the choice, well, I'm just going to do it and suffer consequences. And usually that is one of those things that ends up hurting worse on their side financially by just going forward and saying, well, let's put this 20-story building up and not think about it.
Well, possibly,
Yeah.
and that's why I think any person who's in the role that I'm in, wherever they are in the state, it just serves us better to start the conversation early and to be as helpful as possible. And because I'm going to be able to connect them with other resources that they might not be aware of, people that know things that I don't know about certain aspects of a development project. And it's amazing how many good relationships you can build. I joke a lot of times. I've got a desk calendar on my desk, and when I get a letter from somebody who has thanked my department or complimented one of my staff for working with them on a project, I'll hide it under my desk calendar. And there's some bad days when I will lift up that desk calendar and pull out a few of those letters and remind myself that better days are coming and that good things can be accomplished as long as you just stay steady and keep working.
I want to segue into the things that are coming up. There's the October 12 event, and this is pretty huge for downtown. This is almost something that, as I talk to folks, they kind of look forward to each and every year. The weather starts changing, the humidity typically drops rather significantly, and folks start sensing there's something that I need to do. In the past, you've touted probably thousands of people that have participated in something that you refer to as a downtown event. Let's talk about that Clinton Square Fair mentality.
Yes.
How did that originate, and give us a little history on it?
So the Square Fair, I think we're in our 32nd year. So it started well before my time with the city as just a small crafts fair downtown. A small way of once again bringing people into your downtown and hoping that they will think fondly of downtown and come back and shop and participate in events and activities. And over the years it really has grown. And this year we have actually rebranded the event. For many years it was the Court Square Street Fair and Barbecue Cook-Off, which was a mouthful, JW. And so the promotion committee opted to rebrand it the Clinton Square Fair, because that's where it originated, is on the square.
It's got a rhythm to it.
It has. It's shorter, sweeter, and so we're using our new brand to promote those on billboards along I-40. We have a new billboard this year in Fayetteville on Robertson Street, and we've got our billboard on Highway 24. Many people would say, well, the goal in what you do is to bring thousands and thousands and thousands of people to downtown Clinton. Well, at some point, too many people are not going to make the event as enjoyable for those who really do come and enjoy it and love it. So we try to manage it carefully and thoughtfully. We work with partners. What started on the square has now expanded all the way down Lisbon Street, as you know, past the City Market, which the old Lightning Rod's Car Show has their show there, and even down to the Sampson County History Museum. And this year, for the first time, the Sampson County Breast and Cervical Cancer Awareness Program will be holding their health fair here in this very City Hall auditorium. The Sampson County Substance Abuse Coalition will be at the Clinton Police Department in their parking lot, and the Clinton-Sampson Chamber of Commerce is being afforded the opportunity to have their own chamber area at the Milling Around Art Piece parking lot, to where their members will gain an added benefit of being a chamber member of having half the vendor registration rate as the other attendees. So if you're a member of the chamber, you can set up a booth for half the rate. So it really, it grows, it changes, but it still has a hometown feel about it. And I think you're right, every year they look forward to it, as our annual main downtown event.
Would it be, I guess, simply to think about it, it would be a family event that everyone can feel safe, bring their children, and folks are just in a good mood. I mean, typically, you've been fortunate, I think, in the past to have very good weather, and even those times that it was a little bit overcast, you've been able to, you know,
Rain or shine.
forge that well. So things work well. The other thing I think that happens there with this event is there's quite a competition going on with something that's very well known in this area, and that's barbecue pig for folks that are new around here or coming through or passing through. This is something that for Eastern North Carolina that's a big tradition.
It is a big tradition, and this year we have 17 teams competing in our barbecue cook-off. And I want to give a shout out to our sponsors, which would be Prestige, Smithfield Clinton Plant, Smithfield Hog Production, Hogslat, and Williamson Gas. Those have been our constant, stable sponsors, I would say over at least the past 15 years, which afford us the opportunity to provide a whole hog barbecue competition, and also affords each team to be able to sell their barbecue to the public, and the corporate teams often donate the proceeds of that sale to a charity of their choosing. I've heard a couple of the team members say for some of our sponsoring teams that they really like coming to the Square Fair better than they do going to the State Fair. So I think that's a compliment.
Well, you don't have that seems sometimes at the State Fair, that pressing sense of you got to move with the crowd. You know, you can be a little more agile, I think, in Clinton, and by design, you know, small rural towns do have that sense of individual personality.
Right.
So you have people that have a lot of common understanding of what's going on in the area. And as you just talked about the barbecue, I was sitting here thinking about how well that pairs itself with what really drives the economy here, which is agriculture, livestock and poultry. Fortunately, we hadn't had to do that. Hopefully, we never will. But to remove that would actually be a huge hole in the economic development for there.
It would, and we are very supportive of our farm community. As you mentioned, we have Berries and More downtown. We have Simply North Carolina, which boasts, you know, talking about products that are made here in North Carolina. I think some of our restaurants use locally sourced food, so it's exciting to be able to do that. We're
going to take our break. We're coming up on the last segment, so we've got a lot of stuff to cover before we end today. Ladies and gentlemen, stay with us and stay tuned. We're talking with Mary Rose. We're talking about a lot of activities going on in downtown Clinton, but more importantly, we're talking about how you can get involved, where you need to be, who you need to call. We'll give you a phone number before we go off today. Call a friend, stay tuned. We'll be back in a moment.
To get the most out of your electronic devices, you need a strong internet connection and a protected home Wi-Fi network. You need high-speed internet from Star. Star has the fastest, most affordable high-speed internet service available for all your devices. We have no long-term contracts or high-pressure sales. Our service speaks for itself, and switching is hassle-free. We take care of everything with free installation from a local company. High-speed internet from Star. Internet at the speed of life.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Thank you again for being with us today. We're coming up on our last segment with We Should Know. 2:30 on Tuesdays. 2:30 each and every Tuesday. We Should Know is on the air. Star Communications, cable channel 16. If you're a Star customer and turn your TV on, we'll be on the air at 2:30. WCLN simulcast also with the show each and every Tuesday, and we appreciate folks on either one of these mediums and the content that you give us and the suggestions you give us, the conversations. I see folks in the community quite often that go, I heard so-and-so, you need to do more, you need to do less, you need to talk to so-and-so, you ought to get so-and-so on. And for those folks that call us or send me emails, and those emails need to be sent to weshouldknowedu@gmail.com. That's weshouldknowedu@gmail.com. I get back with you as, quite frankly, as fast as possible, but sometimes folks will get delayed a week or two. We do appreciate your interest in whatever subject matter it is that you want to bring to the show. We appreciate that, and we ask you to keep sending those emails. If we don't get back with you, shoot us another email, and eventually we'll get to you. Oftentimes we get banked with shows that we are trying to get on, and we have to try as best we can to timetable those. Today is Mary Rose, Downtown Clinton Development, a perfect example of that. coming up now in just a couple of weeks. It seems like the fall, the summer's gone, the fall's here, and when you start having these kind of cooler days and humidity drops, it does remind us of downtown. It reminds us of the street fair, the Clinton Square Fair downtown, and it reminds us of those kinds of things. I want to kind of talk about some of the other things, and you alluded briefly to the barbecue cook-off, the arts activities, and you talked a bit about, you mentioned the car show. There's a lot of people that have told me that they look forward to the show, the car show, more than anything else. And it reminds me, not only just in Clinton, but throughout eastern North Carolina, and I guess probably Raleigh as well. I mean, we could even think about, if you look at it nationally, there's a huge number of people that either own or like myself, just enjoy watching what happens with some of these classic vehicles that date back to the 60s, 50s, even earlier.
Yeah. On a beautiful fall day, if the Square Fair, if we're that fortunate, there could be upwards of 100 antique classic cars attending the old Lightning Rod's car show during the Square Fair. And there are a lot of followers. We have been taping a series we call Mill Around Downtown, which I have to throw this back to you, JW, which I would say you've inspired me over the years. Kudos for the way you educate and communicate to people, and have over the years through We Should Know. And I was also inspired by a show that downtown Kinston is doing called Porch Time. And so our show is called Mill Around Downtown, and you're mentioning the car show. We are going to post this week a video in which Chuck Spell, who's involved with the Old Lightning Rods Car Club, is also over at Hogslat, and Deborah Johnson from Prestige joined me on the porch. And we talked about the car show. We talked about workforce development by way of each of their industries. And it's a fun, laid back, on the porch, because as you know, my office is an old house that has a beautiful porch on the front.
Absolutely.
And that's what Kinston did. They started videoing this series to give them the opportunity to talk about what's going on in Kinston, just in a laid-back environment.
Sweet tea and cookies?
Sweet tea and cookies, Bernie's croissants. I mean, we have all sorts of good stuff.
Absolutely.
And we have our coffee, and we sit on the porch, and we share information, much like you do here.
Absolutely.
And it's been really fun, and we just opted to extend it. We're going to do 3 more episodes coming up this fall, and we're really excited about that. So I hope everybody will like Downtown Clinton on Facebook and follow our Mill Around Downtown video series.
And this is going to be on Facebook?
It is on Facebook, Downtown Clinton, and we're hoping to have some more opportunities to share our Mill Around Downtown video series. So watch for more information, on that. So.
Well, I think folks should realize this is a wonderful opportunity not only to find out more information, but it's a convenient way as well. And I'm always amazed at the number of folks that like a particular program on Facebook. Another platform that's often used is podcast. I see a lot of those now. The followings on those are just unbelievable at the numbers of folks, because people have other avenues to seek information. So, keep us informed on that, and anytime that we can do anything to help move that forward, we're more than happy to do that. You're looking at probably, 10 or 15 minutes of folks' time?
10 or 15 minutes. We shoot it on the porch. The guest may stay for about 2 hours talking on the porch, and we may talk about a variety of different topics, and then we edit it down to the most interesting aspects and throw in some pictures and some advertisements for our folks that have donated the food, and it's a lot of fun. So check us out.
And you can stay there as long as tea and cookies or croissants
are
abundant. You will have guests.
Yes, it's fun. My husband told me, JW, before I left home this morning, work me into the conversation. I said, so let me work him in. We were invited over to Kinston, and I spent, my husband went with me, and we sat on the porch and talked about, what was going on in Clinton. And there was a swing on the porch, and we had some good food and fellowship, and so it's fun. So check us out there. Also, there's a lot of great events coming up this fall. We call this this event season, JW, because right after the Square Fair is Halloween on the Square, and then we have Small Business Saturday coming up Saturday, November 30th, which is the Saturday after Thanksgiving, and that's going to afford ticket holders the opportunity to attend a wonderful brunch and bows event at either Alfredo's, the Ashford Inn, and for the first time this year, Uncle Vinny's in downtown Roseboro will have a brunch. So people from different parts of the county can choose which venue they would like to try and come and have a delicious brunch with coffee and mimosas. They'll get a shopping bag with some goodies in it from downtown Clinton and Sampson County, so I'm not going to tell you what. Let it be a surprise. And then we are just really hoping to spotlight a lot of our businesses around the county on that date. And then the very next week is Christmas in the City.
That's a big deal.
That is a big deal. The carriages, the hay rides, it's just, I tell people it's Clinton's gift to the community at Christmas time because it's just really fun, and that's held on Thursday, December 5th from 5:30 to 8:30. And then, you know, a week after that, December 14th is the Clinton Christmas Parade. We'll be together there again, and we always have a good time with that.
Have a ball
and on
with
the
that.
same day of the Christmas Parade, this year our promotion committee is trying to raise money for some Christmas decorations for downtown, and we're going to do a sweet stroll. So JW, you can purchase a ticket, show up in downtown Clinton, present your ticket, get a beautiful decorative tin with a little handle, and you can do a sweet stroll in and out of the businesses downtown, and you will collect goodies from beloved bakers.
Wow.
So we have a whole list of beloved bakers that are known for their cookies or Christmas treats, and they're going to be putting those in your tin, and at that night when you get home, you can sit down with a cup of coffee or a glass of milk and enjoy all those yummy goodies.
Just indulge yourself.
Yes, yes. So a lot going on between now and the end of the year. And then after December 14th, I think I'm going to take a vacation.
Yeah. You might need a little break.
I think I'm going to be a little tired.
You might need a little break.
So.
And one of the things I've got to kind of ask here, because I know somebody's going to ask me, is there a phone number or something folks can call
Yes.
if they want to get up with you, if they got a suggestion, question, or something about
Yes, yes.
Like you don't already get enough.
Hey, I'd love more calls, especially about tickets for brunch and bows, or for our sweet stroll, or to purchase one of our Christmas ornaments, which boasts this year the Clinton Train Depot. It's a beautiful ornament. So they would call 910-299-4904, which goes directly to my lovely assistant, Betty Holland, in the planning department. And
So you're throwing Betty under the bus.
I'm throwing Betty out there, too. I
Yeah.
mean, everybody wants to be a part of the fun.
Absolutely.
And if it weren't for Betty, a lot of the things we do wouldn't happen, as is with most of our volunteers.
Big shout out to Betty. She does a great job.
She does a good job.
So when I hear all this, how much of the marketing and now the position you're in on a state level, does a lot of these small towns throughout North Carolina do heavy marketing throughout the state? Is there a platform that folks that just want to travel a little bit, say
Yes.
in eastern North Carolina, or maybe they want to go to the mountains and travel some of the smaller towns, is there a platform they can go to and find out what's going on throughout North Carolina?
There is a Visit NC app that is out there. There's also most any town, small town or otherwise in North Carolina, is going to be on Facebook, or is going to have a website. So if you just Google those. My husband was scrolling through Facebook last night and he said, oh, we need to check out Mayberry Days in Mount Airy.
Oh, yeah,
and I said that would be great.
That is a beautiful visit
Yeah,
there.
it is a
Absolutely.
great spot. So, you know, everything's right at your fingertips, whether you're on your smartphone or you get on the computer. But there's a lot of good information out there online about events and activities all over the state of North Carolina, most any weekend.
So they can go to Facebook and find a lot of this
Yes.
stuff already there. If you're not really comfortable with some of these new technologies, they're really not new technologies, but you know, to some people they are, they can always call you and say, look, tell me again about what you were talking about with one of the things you've mentioned here. And I realize we've covered a lot. Is there anything that we might have missed that we need to tag on?
There actually is one thing. I had an older gentleman call me yesterday and he said, hello, I'm so-and-so and I'm from Kannapolis. Are you all still having the Band of Oz in Clinton tomorrow night? And I said, yes, sir.
Yeah.
So a live after 5, JW.
Absolutely.
When this airs, this particular
that'll already be
will
over with,
pass.
yeah.
But we do have our final Alive After 5 coming up October 17th with Too Much Sylvia, and we're really excited about that. And then can you believe it, JW? This next year is going to be our 10th season of Alive After 5. I can't believe it.
Hard to believe.
So,
I want to thank you for being with us today and taking time out of your busy schedule. And when I come in, you're usually somewhere either 4 or 5 minutes before, or you're right on time and I didn't see you, and I thought, oh my gracious, something may have happened. So thank you for being with us today.
Thank you, JW.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for being with us as well, each and every Tuesday at 2:30. We always look forward to seeing you and hearing from you. Stay tuned. We'll see you again next week, and may God bless.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of We Should Know with host J.W. Simmons. If you have a question, comment, or suggestion regarding this or any episode, please send your emails to weshouldknowedu@gmail.com. And remember to tune in every Tuesday at 2:30 for another informative episode of We Should Know.